Welcome back to the Jenny McCarthy Show. I'm Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg. You guys know how much I love this show. I love this family. I'm so excited. In season 7, my God, Chrisley Knows best. Tuesdays, 10 o'clock, 9 Central on USA Network. It's one of those shows that if it comes on, I'm done for the rest of the day. I watch every single episode. Cracks me up. Hi, Todd and Savannah Chrisley.
Good morning.
How are you?
I know Savannah's first time on my show, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
You guys, I mean, are you shocked that the show has lasted as long as it has?
It lasted longer than my first marriage.
I'm extremely shocked. I mean, starting at, I want to say, it was my 16th birthday, we started filming. And it's so crazy just to see over the years. And we were actually watching online the other day, like past videos of Grayson, because he was a baby. So It's crazy.
It's crazy. And then what's it been like, Savannah, to grow up on TV? Because my son, we had a reality show for a short time for 3 seasons. And on the first day of filming season 3, he goes, I quit. Get them out of the house. And I'm like, it's episode 1. We have to do a whole season. But he's like, I'm in puberty. I'm not going to be on camera. So how was that? Because you were right in smack in it.
It was difficult. I mean, you have a lot of people watching you, giving you their opinions, you know, and it was extremely difficult, and it definitely played a role in who I've become and certain things that I say and do. It's just difficult, you know, and so, but Dad's always told me it's none of our business what someone else thinks of you. So I try to keep that in the back of my mind and not let it affect me too much.
You know what, Todd? You've done an amazing job with your kids.
You know, Jenny, I think that we have the same issues in our family that anyone else has. I look at my kids collectively and I think, we haven't done too bad. I start dissecting them and breaking them off on their own pod, and then I start thinking I could have done better with this. Maybe I should have taught you better on this. But every family has a struggle. Every child is different. No child learns the same. No child looks the same. I mean, unless, you have the same surgeon. But, I think that we've done the very best that we can do with what we've been given.
100. I totally get that. And the fact, though, that they've been able to come out the other side still of show business and have, they're humble, a sense of humor, and not damaged. That's the truth of it.
But don't you think that we're all damaged in some way? I mean, I think that we were, I think that when you're born and you're subjected to the world, that we have damage. When I see this with our granddaughter who is now 6 and she goes to school and there are unkind comments made from another child. I mean, then you're damaged at 6. So I think that we, as infants and as children, we grow up and we learn to either become immune to the damage, we learn to correct the damage, or we carry it around like a martyr and we use it to damage someone else. So I think that, my oldest son, he's struggled for years, but that was before the show. The show didn't cause that. I mean, that's something that he's had an issue with. And so we deal with that. But he's still my child. I love him, and I don't really give a shit what someone else's opinion is of him. He's mine.
It's true. Everyone has issues. I guess I could say, though, you've given them great tools to deal with those issues.
I would agree with that. I would say that Julie and I, I have been very blessed to have a wife that has always been at home with our children. She's taught them right from wrong. They know what they're supposed to be doing. That doesn't mean bad things don't still happen to us. I mean, bad things happen to us all the time. But they do have the tools to bounce back. I say that my children's recovery time is quicker than most.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Savannah, your dad, I mean, obviously, you know this by now, is one of a kind. I mean,
oh, yes.
I've never met a man like your father, and I love it because he makes me laugh. He's got great things to say. What rules that when you look back in your house growing up, were you like, they still make no sense to me?
Oh, I hate to say it. So I'm going to pretend he's not sitting next to me. He was right in a lot of things. Now that I look back, I may have hated it, but now I understand it. And now I'm appreciative of it. I mean, just the little stuff. He was like, it's your job to clean up the kitchen at night. He was like, if your mother's making dinner, then you kids can clean up the kitchen. And now that's just something as an adult to where we'll be at a party with friends and no one's lifting their hand to do anything. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, let's make yourself a little useful. So the fact that he constantly made us work and do things, I'm appreciative of that, because now as an adult, I'm not the lazy one sitting in the room. So.
Right. And do you find yourself at all like, oh my God, I'm turning into my parents?
She should be so lucky as to be her mother.
Chase gives me a hard time. He tells me that I act just like Dad. So there are times where I'm like, ooh, I need to temper that a little bit.
That's so funny.
Because that can only work for Todd, you know? Like, it doesn't look too good on me. So
you find yourself saying those little sayings that he does?
I will never. Some stuff that he says, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Where did that come from?
But then you figure it out.
No, half the time they don't make sense.
Did you go through the stage of like being embarrassed by your parents at all? Because Evan, my son, won't let me even smile at him. I have to walk 50 yards ahead of him.
Yeah, but for God's sake, look at how you look, Jenny. I mean, you know, no kid, no boy, 13, 14, 15 years old wants to have a mom as hot as you, because then all their friends are saying, God, she is so hot.
No,
I would
it's
so
not
totally
true.
do her.
I look like Jimmy Carter when I'm not, when I don't have hair and makeup on. He's like, I'm so embarrassed. You're famous. I wish you were never famous. So he's going through that stage. So I'm like trying to.
No, I have never been embarrassed by them. There are certain times, and I think it's just because they didn't allow it. You know, like he was just like, get over it. You know, this is your life. This is how I'm going to be, so get used to it. So we got used to it, and that was our normal. So it was kind of weird when they weren't around. You know, when we would be hanging out with friends and they weren't there, it was like, okay, where's Mom and Dad? You know, because we got so used to having them around and wanting them around. So even now as an adult, like I'm at their house almost every day. We'll have dinner at least 3 to 5 times a week. 3 is like minimum. That's rare. But we're always together. So I love it.
So the empty nest, the birds flew back, huh, Todd?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, they all have their own homes, but they're always in our home. And I think that as a parent, that's what you want. I never wanted my kids to grow up and go away and have their own life and not come back.
I mean, you wanted me to stay. You wanted me to stay.
I love all of my children, and you know, and they're all welcome, and they all have a room, and you know, they can all fall back when they need to fall back, because life is brutal. Life is messy. You know, we get thrown things at us, you know, every day that are things that when you go to bed at night, you don't even anticipate happening the next day.
Right.
And you know, relationships come and go, and you know, you're in love today and you're in divorce tomorrow. And, you know, my kids know that no matter what happens in life, they can always come home.
God, that's such an awesome feeling that you have that, Savannah.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of like dating and love and stuff, you got engaged, right?
I did.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
And he's a hockey player?
Yes, so he has played hockey his entire life, but now he's in Nashville and he's kind of doing real estate and focusing on some other stuff, because
things that are less likely to cause them to, you know, have permanent brain injuries.
Yeah, hockey's a rough sport.
It is a rough sport. My sister was married to a professional hockey player, and so Todd, was it hard for you when Savannah started dating?
It was hard when she started dating. You know, she didn't. Her decision-making skills were not what I would have hoped for. You know, you date one douchebag, you're supposed to learn from that. You don't go out here and pick another douchebag.
First off, it's not my fault. These guys out here are getting real good with trickery. They are.
And women are supposed to be getting smarter. Wow. So, you know, I think that, you know, when she met Nick, and Nick came to our home for the first meeting, he came to the door with flowers for my wife. Julie was cooking. He came in. He hugged her, introduced himself to her, shook my hand, and started doing dishes. And, you know, I paid attention to that. And this young man has never allowed my daughter to open a door. When they pull up, he opens that car door, she gets out. He pulls her chair out. He's always, babe, is there something I can do for you? Or he'll call and say, babe, where's the keys to this car? I'm going to go make sure the service is taken care of before I leave. So
I've gotten so used to it, it's a bad thing.
Well, I don't know why, because you've been used to it your whole life.
Donnie does the same thing. My husband, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I wonder if this will fade 5 years later. Every door is open. I get flowers once a month. It's like there's guys out there that are really dreamy and happily ever after.
I know, and I love it. Like, he just makes everything so easy, and
Savannah is very, I know this is shocking, Savannah's high maintenance. And,
I'm not.
And Savannah's high maintenance. And Nick is very calm. He keeps her kind of
very calm.
He brings
Sometimes
her down.
I'm like, can you not just yell back at me, please? Like, argue
Just say, like,
with
with me, if one of them says something, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear it. I'm done. We're not talking about it anymore. You've taken up 5 minutes with stupidity.
That's awesome.
He's Nick is the type that, okay, baby, you finished? No. Go ahead. When you're finished, then I'll comment.
I'm like, no, I'm not finished, actually.
Oh my God. That is unbelievable. Did he come to you, though, Todd, and say, like, I wanted to ask?
He did. He not only did he come to me and ask for her hand in marriage,
He was so nervous.
He came to me and asked if he could take my daughter on a date. He flew from San Diego to ask me if he could take my daughter on a date.
No, that wasn't it.
What was it?
He remember Emily and
that's
I.
right. He called. That's right.
Yeah, he called. Emily and I went out to San Diego, and he called and like gave Dad his address and his phone number, and was like
tag number, social security number.
Here's everything you need to know. Like, if you have any
Background
questions, please call me. So he did it the right way.
And what was the proposal?
Oh, well, it
Todd,
was...
will you take my... You want me to tell her?
No, do it. Tell her.
So now he was in Canada, and he had flown to L.A. because they were filming their first season of Growing Up Chrisley. And so he flew out here thinking he was going to catch Julie and I in L.A. at the same time. And Julie left a day early to go back to Nashville because she had finished up doing what she was doing. And so it was only me. So he did not want to ask just me. And so... eventually, he just called one night, and Julie and I were in bed, and he FaceTimed. And I said, hello, and he goes, hey, how are you? And I says, good. And he said, I figured this would be the only time I'd ever catch y'all two together. And he started stammering around, and what have you been up to? How's your day been? And I said, my day was fine, but why do you give a shit? What's going on? And he said, I wanted to ask you something, and I just wanted to, I wanted both of y'all to be together, and I just wanted to tell you, what a wonderful daughter you've raised, and what a good, compassionate human being she is. And so I'm looking at Julie. I'm like, is this shit really happening? And he said, so I wanted to take the opportunity to ask for your hand in marriage.
He asked you. Yes, he proposed to you.
He proposed to me, and I said, well, Nick, I don't think that's legal in Tennessee. I said, so why don't you hang up and call me back? And he hung up and called me back and did the whole thing again without. No. Yes, he did the whole thing again.
Oh, that is so sweet.
So needless to say, he was so nervous.
And then how did you get the knee? How did you get? I'm sure he got on his knee.
He
yes,
did.
Well, it was Christmas Eve, and I was so mad because we were filming, and I was like, this is insane. Why are we filming on a holiday? Like, what is going on? I was furious because his family was in town. We were all at my parents' place, and that day, I had no idea up until that day, and then, like, red flags started going off, and I'd already left my house for the day, and I was like, oh my gosh, if this is going to happen today, I can't be wearing what I have on. So I went to Nordstrom. I bought everything they had to bribe the alterations lady to alter my jacket.
You knew? You were such a shady-ass heifer.
I had an idea, because everyone was acting weird. Why would y'all have floating candles delivered to the house?
Because I'm classy.
Yeah, no. So I had no idea up until, like, that day. And then everyone was acting weird. Nick was acting so nervous. And I was like, what is going on? And the fact that we were filming, it was a little...
There were too many signs pointing in that direction.
Yes. So then my mom forgot something at the store, and we went to the store. Everyone was so tense. So I was like, looking back, I'm like, could y'all have been a little more calm and, like, relaxed and happy? He was angry, and he was trying to throw me off.
I needed everyone to do what they needed to do.
But I was like, yeah, you definitely threw me off. So my mom and I, we got back from the store. Everyone was gone. And then our best friend's little boy, he goes, hey, I think they're waiting for you outside. So I went outside. There was, like, the pool was filled with like floating candles. There were Christmas trees decorated, lights up. And then his family was on one side, mine on the other. And he was like, hey, can you come here? And I didn't even know what to say. I just stopped. I was like, this is about to happen, like right now. God. And it's funny because I had always said I had a 2-year thing. If you don't know after 2 years, you're never going to know, so don't waste my time. And I told him that like very early on. I had 2 things. I'm never leaving my
Savannah
family.
Knows best.
Yeah,
right.
I was like, I'm never leaving my family.
He still had 9 months. I'd have sweated it out.
I know, he did. I was like, I'm never leaving my family, and if you don't know after 2 years, you're never going to know. And so I was waiting. I thought he was going to hit that 2-year mark and then do it. So I was very shocked.
And I mean, I had the chills when you just told me how it looked. And
Yes,
then you walked over to him and he got on his knee and asked.
Yes, he did. And it was so funny. Afterwards, he goes, I forgot everything that I was going to say. I had a paper and I wrote it down and I lost my paper and I just forgot. I was so nervous.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So is this something we can all see in the next season?
Yeah,
Yes.
You'll see it coming up. It'll come out, I think, this time in season 7.
Yes.
Because it was recorded for the show.
And so what else can we expect in this season? I feel like you've done so much. What's that next level?
But, listen, I think that because we are a family and we're together all the time, I think that what you'll see is you're going to see a lot of growth, a lot of growing, a lot of growing pains. These are young adults now. And Julie and I were asked, months and months and months ago, what's the hardest part of parenting? And the hardest part of parenting is parenting an adult child. And I think that, you think that, when they're little, at least you can say, no, don't put your hand on the stove. You're going to get burned.
Right.
And then, if they're slow, then they put the damn hand on the stove. They get burned. They know you're not lying.
That's
now, these are adults. So you can say, don't put your hand on the stove. But, I'm grown. I know how to maneuver around it. And you find that they don't know as much about maneuvering as what you thought.
No, you're absolutely right. And I hear that constant worry from parents saying, you just never stop worrying.
No. And I mean, I think that what you'll see a lot of that in this coming season. You'll see a lot of stuff that Savannah's working on. She was just named the creative director for Iconics.
Nice.
For Rampage.
Well, for Rampage, and which is Iconics. And then she just signed her deal for her beauty brand.
Good for you, girl.
And so she's busy, and you're going to see a lot of growth with her. Chase is still infatuated with every Insta hoe out there. So, it just...
I'd be interested to slide into his DMs, Todd.
You would cause him to have a heart attack because literally he could care less about doing press until he found out we were doing this show this morning.
Oh, my God.
And he was in Florida, and he's like, I would have totally flown to New York. He said, had I known you were doing Jenny.
He is so funny. I mean, I think you guys are just so great to watch. I just love you guys so much. Chrisley Knows Best, Tuesdays, 10 o'clock, 9 Central, USA Network. I have a couple of fan questions you got to ask. Okay. I mean, they asked. Savannah, does your dad wear Spanx for men?
I do
no,
not.
he does not. But, at times he maybe should, but no, he doesn't.
You're another lie heifer because there ain't nothing hanging on me.
I'm totally going to give him a hard time. I mean, that dad bod is in full swing, so we're good.
You better worry about yourself, sister. You better hope you hold up as good as I have for 51 years.
Here's another one. Todd, vanity can be a sin. Would you be guilty of vanity?
I'm going to hell.
Savannah, does fashion matter too much to your dad?
Yes, growing up, it did. I mean, we always had to put our best face forward, and it was, you always had to be dressed, and you have to be on your best behavior, and fashion was a lot growing up.
And look where you are today.
Yes, I mean, look where I am today, yes, but sometimes you gotta let loose a little, which I will say, in his old age, he's doing much better. He is.
In my old age, Jenny, 51.
In your old age. Last question, Todd. What do your kids blow their money on?
I have things to show for it.
Savannah pisses away her money on fashion, Jenny. Fashion. Beauty. Her home, which is, you can see where she spends her money with her home. Chase. Chase is into community service.
Really?
I'll just leave it. I didn't mean that in a good way, Jenny. I meant that in a facetious way.
Oh, my God, you're terrible.
But
at least for Savannah, she's making a career out of it now.
Yes, Savannah.
And like I said, I have things to show for it. Whether it's a handbag or some shoes, or at least there's something to show for it.
Exactly.
And there you have it, Jenny. Shoes and handbags.
Sounds like the perfect girl to me. You guys, thank you so much. You guys, make sure you watch Chrisley Knows Best Tuesdays, 10 o'clock, 9 Central, USA Network. Congratulations, you guys, on such a great show in season 7. Really happy for you guys.
Thank you so much, Jenny. God bless.
Much love. Come back anytime.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Jenny McCarthy Show. Oh!